If you watch this channel, the odds are pretty good that you're already familiar with History Hit, which is Dan Snow's history streaming service that he started a few years ago. They have a big presence on YouTube. I watch a lot of their stuff, and the other day they put out a video of their top 50 history movies as voted by their subscribers, which public voting, I think, is the best way to do such things. I think because otherwise you just get butthurt people pointing at the author going, "You dumb bastard, how could you rank such and such movie ahead of so-and-so movie?" And so far as I'm aware, they didn't put any preconditions on what qualifies as a history movie. So it can be a film that retells an actual historical event, or it can be a fictional story told in a historical setting. And I don't know exactly how large the sample size was, but we can reasonably surmise that since all the voters are people who pay money for a history documentary streaming service, it's probably about the most well-informed pool of respondents you're likely to get. Now, before I watched the video, I went in with a couple of assumptions. I assumed that the list was going to be pretty heavily skewed toward post-1990 films, and I wasn't wrong. Only 15 out of the 50 are from before 1990, and rather shockingly, there is only one picture on this list from before 1975, and that leads to some pretty grave omissions, in the opinion of this reporter. Which, if I was drawing up my own list, that ratio would probably be inverted. I would likely have at least 35 entrants from pre-1975 and way the hell fewer from the 50 years since, which we'll get to at the end, since as a thought experiment, I spent the day trying to think off the top of my head of films I would put on my list that aren't on the actual list, and I think I came up with about 40 of them. And 7 of the films on the History Hit list I have never even seen before, so obviously I will reserve comment on those. Mostly. Okay, Jim Eagle, hit the damn music and let's do this thing. From high atop the battlements of Castle Curmudgeon, where... What years was I vice president again? Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Marca and all ships at sea. Welcome to the program. I'm your eponymous host and humble servant. And jumping right in at number 50, Apollo 13. No complaints here. Still by far the best movie about the Apollo program. Which is kind of strange that the best movie would come out of the one failed mission, and it's also kind of strange that there are so few movies about the greatest achievement in human history, which is the fact that we landed 12 men on the moon and brought them safely back to Earth. And don't even get me started on that god-awful piece of shit Neil Armstrong movie from a few years ago. All things considered, I enjoyed Ryan Gosling way more when he was playing a Ken doll.
Doesn't seem to matter what I do, I'm always number 2.
Number 49, The Great Escape. And here is our first serious problem. This is the only pre-1975 film on this list, and it should be in the top 5, maybe the top 2. 48, The Queen. A fine picture, much of whose content was recently duplicated on the final season of The Crown, which you may have seen. Great performance from Helen Mirren, and an underrated performance, I think, from Michael Sheen as Tony Blair. Number 47, Mississippi Burning. I have not seen this one in a hell of a long time, and I might have to make a point to rewatch it. Number 46, Zero Dark 30. I am not much of a fan of either Jessica Chastain or Jason Clarke, but I found this one perfectly enjoyable. One of the best ever films by a woman director, also, in my judgment. Number 45, Napoleon? Here's another pretty serious problem. First, why are you putting a movie that came out 5 minutes ago on an all-time list? Second, there should be a Napoleon movie on this list, but it ain't that one. It's Waterloo from 1970, directed by Sergei Bondarchuk, starring Rod Steiger as Napoleon and Christopher Plummer as the Duke of Wellington. Greatest battle sequences that have ever or will ever be committed to film. I was planning to go see this latest Napoleon picture, was actually looking rather forward to it, but the reactions from people I trust here on YouTube were so stridently negative that I wound up not bothering. Number 44, The Imitation Game. An outstanding picture, very much worth watching if you haven't seen it. Benedict Cumberbatch does one of his best turns as Alan Turing. Number 43, Full Metal Jacket. You know what we need around here? We need some gunnery Sergeant Hartman around here. If you ladies leave my island, if you survive recruit training, you will be a weapon. You will be a minister of death praying for war. But until that day, you are pukes. You are the lowest form of life on earth. You are not even human fucking beings. You are nothing but unorganized grab-astic pieces of amphibian shit. Because I am hard, you will not like me. But the more you hate me, the more you will learn. I am hard, but I am fair. There is no racial bigotry here. I do not look down on others. Here you are all equally worthless, and my orders are to weed out all non-hackers who do not pack the gear to serve in my beloved corps. Do you maggots understand that? God bless the great R. Lee Ermey. May he rest in peace. Number 42, Elizabeth. I've never really been as fond of this one as some people are. It runs into that same problem that biopics often do, where you've got an actor or an actress, as the case may be, in their 30s or 40s playing a historical figure who is in their teens or 20s. As I understand it, this is an especially bad problem in the new Napoleon movie, where you've got Joaquin Phoenix, who is the exact same age as me, playing Napoleon as a 23-year-old artillery captain. Would you cast me to play a 23-year-old? Yeah, me either. Number 41, The Killing Fields. Haven't seen it since I was a little kid. Don't remember much about it, really. Number 40, Milk. I have not seen this one because I have precious little interest in films about dead pedophiles, and I will just leave it at that. Number 39, Howard's End. Haven't seen it in at least 25 years. Probably should rewatch it. I expect I would enjoy it more today than I did when I was 18. Number 38, Argo. Remember back when Ben Affleck was the guy you only knew from his bit parts in Dazed and Confused and Mallrats? I bet you never thought that guy was going to be an Oscar-winning director, did you? I don't think Argo is as well regarded today as it was back when it came out, but I still liked it the last time I watched it. And I especially enjoy Alan Arkin's performance in that picture. And you remember the cultural appropriation controversy this one caused? When the proto-wokesters were crying and moaning that the disgustingly Anglo-Saxon Ben Affleck shouldn't be allowed to play a guy named Tony Mendez. Oh, wokesters, don't ever change. Number 37, The Pianist. Haven't seen this one in 20 plus years either. Don't really remember all that much about it, but I heard the director enjoys drugging and sodomizing 7th graders, for whatever that's worth.
That was Polanski. That was Roman Polanski.
Number 36, The Color Purple. The film that did the world the invaluable service of introducing us to Whoopi Goldberg. Haven't seen it since the 80s. Don't remember all that much about it. Number 35, Dunkirk. No problems here. Great picture. Though I wouldn't mind if it had a bit more dialogue in it. 34, The Remains of the Day. Again, haven't seen it in 30 years, don't remember much about it. 33, American Sniper. Now, does it count as a history picture when the history being depicted is like 10 years ago? It's a fine picture and all. I mean, Clint Eastwood for the win. But it wouldn't occur to me to put it on a list of history films, is all I'm saying. Number 32, Lincoln. I can't overstate how much I love this movie. One of the finest performances of all time from Daniel Day-Lewis. It's the same kind of performance that Rod Steiger gives as Napoleon in Waterloo. It's the difference between playing a character and actually inhabiting a historical figure. You forget that you're watching an actor play a role. Sally Field is great. Tommy Lee Jones is great. David Strathairn is great. Everything about it is great.
You're going to tell a story. I don't believe that I can bear to listen to another one of your stories.
Number 31, Killers of the Flower Moon. Another picture that came out 5 minutes ago, which I might have liked to see, but I won't, because fuck Robert De Niro. Number 30, The Green Book. Haven't seen it. Don't think I've ever heard of it. 29, Darkest Hour. Speaking of an actor disappearing into a historical figure, here is another example. Though I am allowed to say, am I allowed to say that I think Gary Oldman's performance might be just a tiny bit overrated? Well, I guess I just did. There's parts that are just a little bit over the top for my taste, where I can't picture the actual Churchill ever acting that way. But still, a fine picture, very much worth watching. Number 28, Last of the Mohicans. Daniel Day-Lewis' second appearance on the list. Been a long time since I saw this one. Definitely need to rewatch it. Number 27, The Elephant Man. This movie scared the living daylights out of me when I was a little kid. I couldn't even watch when John Hurt was on the screen because the prosthetics freaked me out so bad. Probably should go and rewatch this one as an adult because I don't think I ever have. Number 26, 1917. One of the great cinematographic achievements of all time, in my opinion. I know they didn't really shoot the whole picture in one continuous shot, But in creating the illusion that they had, they made it one of the most immersive war films anybody has ever made. Number 25, Hotel Rwanda. Never seen it, don't have an opinion. Number 24, Chariots of Fire. When I tell you to picture a bunch of 1920s Englishmen jogging on the beach in slow motion to a piece of music that screams the 1980s, what movie do you think of? Oh, and you thought Baywatch invented jogging on the beach in slow motion? Wrong! Also, if you were a kid learning to play piano in the 1980s, I guarantee you learned that song. 23, JFK. This is a tough one, because as a movie, it's a great movie. It's got a gripping narrative, lots of really good performances, everything you normally want in a motion picture. But as history, it is unmitigated, indefensible trash, and it is way the hell too high up on this list.
It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma. The fucking shooters don't even know.
22, All Quiet on the Western Front. The first time I tried to watch that one, which I think was on Amazon Prime, they didn't ask me what audio track I wanted, and it started playing with dubbed English voices, and I really couldn't stand it, so I had to turn it off. I never realized until later that I had the option of watching it with the original German audio and English subtitles, and then I watched it, and I loved it. Fantastic picture. Deserves to be in this spot. 21, The Revenant. Now, this one, up to a point, is probably closer to the real history than most people might realize. That bear attack went down pretty much exactly the way it's depicted on screen. The revenge mission afterward, that was a bit of Hollywood embellishment, though. 20, Barry Lyndon. Never seen it, don't have an opinion. Probably the only Stanley Kubrick picture I have never gotten around to watching. I should probably fix that. Number 19, Platoon. Oliver Stone's directorial debut. It won a bunch of Oscars, as I recall. Young William Dafoe and 12-year-old Charlie Sheen both acquit themselves admirably. Haven't seen this one in a hell of a long time. 18, The Hurt Locker. No complaints here. Fine picture. The movie where Jeremy Renner got such great notices, they wound up making him an Avenger. 17, Amadeus. Probably haven't seen it since the 80s. Don't remember it all that much. 16, Life is Beautiful. Haven't seen it, don't have an opinion. 15, The Right Stuff. Even after 40 years, this is probably still the definitive NASA movie. Apollo 13 included. Movies with 5 lead actors often don't come out as good as they ought to, but this one did.
Was it them? Was it their German scientists that got them up there first?
No. No, it was not, Senator. Our Germans are better than their Germans.
Number 14, Gandhi. Dickie Attenborough's magnum opus. He won himself a double armload of Oscars for it in 1983, and Ben Kingsley's performance here belongs in the same class as Rod Steiger as Napoleon and Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln. 13, The Deer Hunter. Haven't seen it in decades. Probably should rewatch. 12, All the President's Men. Christ. This one is ranked way, way, way the hell too high. As a motion picture, it's fine. As history, it's a disgusting, self-serving piece of trash designed to make the deep state and the fake news media look like the noble heroes that they never were. You want a true telling of the Watergate story? Then you should watch the HBO miniseries that came out last year called White House Plumbers with Woody Harrelson as Howard Hunt. Number 11, Braveheart. Jesus Christ. Braveheart at freaking number 11? Are you kidding me? Fucking... To me, Braveheart is the most offensive kind of history film, where they use the names of real people and a framework of actual historical events and tell a 100% fictional story against that backdrop. Number 10 is The King's Speech. It plays a bit faster and looser with the history than I might prefer, but still, this one, it's a movie I can watch over and over again just because Colin Firth and Jeffrey Rush and Helena Bonham Carter are all so brilliant in it. Number 9, 12 Years a Slave. Never seen it, don't have an opinion. Number 8, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. I am very pleased to see this one in the top 10. The most faithful, well-researched, well-scripted, well-acted depiction of Napoleonic-era naval combat and Navy life that there has ever been or will be. The tragedy is that they never made any sequels to it. Also, if you're ever in San Diego and want to go aboard HMS Surprise, the ship from the movie, she is moored here at the San Diego Maritime Museum, and it is well worth the visit.
That's the future. What a fascinating modern age we live in.
Number 7, Dances with Wolves. No complaints here, probably does belong in the top 10. Number 6, Oppenheimer. Yet another picture that came out less than 5 minutes ago. I did a full review on it, so there's not much else to say here, except to reiterate, that I wish Florence Pugh would leave her goddamn clothes on. Number 5, Titanic. As far as attention to historical detail goes, knowing what we knew in the mid-90s when they made it, this is just about as good as it gets. Does the love story often get cloying and tiresome and insufferable? Yes. But without it, you don't have the number 1 box office picture of all time. Number 4, Saving Private Ryan. No complaints. It belongs here.
Picture a girl who just took a nosedive from the ugly tree and hit every branch coming down.
3, Apocalypse Now. Haven't seen it in many years, probably need to rewatch. Number 2, Gladiator. Are you kidding me? Freaking Gladiator at number 2? The problem here is the same as the problem with Braveheart. You take the names of 2 actual Roman emperors, Marcus Aurelius and Commodus, and have them participate in a 100% fictional made-up story that is completely untethered to the historical record. And that bothers me. Number 1, Schindler's List. You know, I don't think I've ever seen Schindler's List all the way through. I've seen parts of it, vast sections of it even, but I don't think I have ever sat down and watched the thing from start to finish. I hope that doesn't make me an anti-Semite. And there you have it. That's the end of the history hit list. So here comes the curmudgeon list, and since the pre-1975 era was the most woefully underrepresented, that's what I tried to prioritize as I was thinking of these. And they are in no particular order. I just wrote them down as they occurred to me. So here goes. The Sand Pebbles. Lawrence of Arabia. How can you not have Lawrence of Arabia on an all-time history movie list? Run Silent, Run Deep, The Enemy Below, The Searchers, Bridge on the River freaking Kwai, The African Queen, High Noon, Shane, Stalag 17, Mr. Roberts, The Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, Gunfight at the OK Corral, The Tin Star, A Night to Remember, Rio Bravo, The Magnificent Seven, Spartacus, The Unforgiven, Judgment at Nuremberg, late period Spencer Tracy at his absolute best, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Longest Day, The Manchurian Candidate, A Fistful of Dollars, Beckett, Dr. Zhivago, The Sons of Katie Elder, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, A Man for All Seasons, Bonnie and Clyde, The Dirty Dozen, El Dorado, In the Heat of the Night, Waterloo, previously mentioned, Once Upon a Time in the West, Anne of the Thousand Days, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, True Grit, Young Winston, The Wild Bunch. Now feel free to discuss amongst yourselves, but I am out of here because this video is already long enough as it is. Thank you very much indeed for watching. See you next time. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Do not comply. Get off my lawn.